A nightmare conceived, the genesis of the Madagascar Plan. The year was 1940. World War II raged across Europe. Nazi Germany, fueled by its hateful ideology, sought a solution to the Jewish question. Before the gas chambers and extermination camps, a different horror was imagined, the Madagascar Plan. The plan proposed the forcible deportation of Europe's Jewish population to Madagascar. This island, located off the coast of Africa, would become a massive, isolated prison camp. The idea, rooted in anti-Semitic fears, was dusted off by the Nazi regime. Madagascar was seen as geographically isolated, limiting escape and outside interference. The twisted logic of Nazi racial ideology. To understand the Madagascar Plan, one must delve into the warped worldview of Nazi ideology. The Nazis believed in a hierarchy of races, with the Aryan race at the top and Jews at the bottom. This ideology dehumanized Jews, portraying them as parasites and enemies of the state. The Madagascar Plan was a more insidious form of genocide. The plan aimed to isolate Jews, leading to their demise through disease, starvation, and forced labor. A Herculean task, the daunting logistics of mass deportation. The sheer scale of the Madagascar Plan was staggering. It involved the forced removal of millions of people from their homes across Europe. The plan called for massive transit camps where Jews would be gathered and prepared for deportation. Trains, ships, and every available means of transport would be commandeered. The journey itself would be perilous, with overcrowding, disease, and starvation rampant. The island's resources were already stretched thin, and the infrastructure needed to support such a massive influx of people simply did not exist. The plan revealed the Nazi regime's callous disregard for human life. A sea of suffering, the perilous journey to an uncertain fate. For the millions of Jews targeted by the Madagascar Plan, the journey itself would have been a horrific ordeal. Herded onto overcrowded trains, they would be transported to European ports and forced onto ships. The conditions on these ships would be deplorable, with inadequate sanitation, limited food and water, and disease spreading like wildfire. The journey across the Atlantic would take weeks, if not months. Many would succumb to disease, starvation, or dehydration. Upon arriving in Madagascar, the survivors would be greeted by a harsh and unforgiving environment. The island would become a graveyard, a testament to the cruelty and barbarity of the Nazi regime. The Madagascar Plan was a sinister scheme devised by the Nazis during World War II. It involved the forced relocation of millions of European Jews to the island of Madagascar. Families were torn apart, and communities were shattered. The ships were overcrowded, and the journey was perilous. Many ships faced treacherous weather conditions, adding to the misery of the passengers. Makeshift hospitals were set up on board, but they were ill-equipped to handle the widespread illness. Upon arrival, the survivors faced an uncertain fate in a foreign land. Madagascar's harsh environment offered little hope for a new beginning. The memory of those who perished serves as a stark reminder of the atrocities committed. We must remember and honor their suffering, ensuring that such horrors are never repeated. Section 5. Life in exile, a brutal reality in the Madagascar reservation. This was a place where hope was scarce and despair was abundant. For those who survived the harrowing journey, often marked by suffering and loss, life in the Madagascar reservation would be a constant struggle for survival, a daily battle against the odds. The island, ill-equipped to support its existing population, lacked the necessary infrastructure and resources, and would be overwhelmed by the sudden influx of millions of Jews who were forcibly relocated. Food, water, and shelter would be scarce, with basic necessities becoming luxuries, leading to widespread hunger, rampant disease, and inevitable death for many. The reservation would transform into a giant labor camp, a place of relentless toil and suffering, with Jews forced to work under brutal conditions, their humanity stripped away. A ruthless SS administration would oversee all aspects of life, imposing their will with an iron fist, enforcing strict rules, and punishing any sign of resistance with severe consequences. The Jewish population would be subject to constant surveillance, their every move monitored, their lives controlled by the whims of their Nazi overlords who showed no mercy or compassion. Section 6. Resistance and Resilience, the indomitable spirit of the Jewish people. Despite the horrors inflicted upon them, the Jewish people would undoubtedly resist their Nazi oppressors. Acts of resistance, both small and large, would emerge as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Underground networks would form, providing support, sharing information, and planning acts of sabotage. Cultural and religious practices would be maintained in secret, preserving a sense of identity and hope. The Jewish people would find ways to resist, to live, and to hold on to hope, even in the darkest of times. The human spirit, they would learn, cannot be so easily broken. Section 7. The Global Ripple Effect, a world transformed by forced migration. The concept of forced migration has always been a significant turning point in human history, shaping societies and altering the course of nations. The implementation of the Madagascar Plan would have had profound and far-reaching consequences for the world. This plan, which aimed to forcibly relocate millions of Jews to Madagascar, would have created a seismic shift in global demographics. The forced displacement of millions of people would have created a global refugee crisis. Refugee camps would have sprung up across continents, struggling to provide basic necessities like food, water, and shelter. Countries around the world would be forced to grapple with the moral and logistical challenges of absorbing such a large influx of refugees. Governments would need to create new policies and infrastructures to manage the sudden population surge. Some nations might open their doors to the displaced Jews, offering them a new home and a chance to rebuild their lives, while others might close their borders, fearing economic strain and social unrest. Europe, already reeling from the devastation of war, would lose a significant portion of its population, including skilled workers, intellectuals, and artists. This loss would have long-term effects on the continent's recovery and cultural landscape. The influx of millions of Jews into Madagascar would irrevocably alter the island's demographics, culture, and political landscape. The local population would face immense changes, and the island's resources would be stretched to their limits, leading to potential conflicts and a blending of cultures that would redefine Madagascar's identity. Section 8. The Unforeseen Consequences, a legacy of pain and displacement. The Madagascar Plan, had it been implemented, would have left an indelible scar on the world. The forced displacement of millions of people would have created generations of trauma and displacement. The descendants of those deported to Madagascar would inherit a legacy of loss and dislocation. The psychological and emotional scars of this forced migration would reverberate through generations. Section 9. A world without a Holocaust, a chilling counterfactual. Some might argue that the Madagascar Plan, while cruel, would have been a preferable alternative to the Holocaust. However, this line of reasoning is deeply flawed. The Madagascar Plan was not a humane alternative to genocide, but rather a different form of genocide. The plan aimed to isolate and segregate Jews, leading to their demise through disease, starvation, and forced labor. It was a slow and agonizing death sentence, disguised as a solution. The plan was conceived within a context of escalating persecution and violence against Jews. Section 10. Echoes of the Plan. The enduring stain of ethnic cleansing, the Madagascar Plan, though ultimately abandoned, stands as a chilling reminder of the dangers of unchecked hatred. The plan's echoes can be seen in acts of genocide and forced displacement that have plagued the world in the decades since World War II. From Cambodia to Rwanda, the world has witnessed the horrors that can unfold when hatred and prejudice are allowed to fester. The Madagascar Plan serves as a stark warning from history. It is our duty to remember the past, to learn from its mistakes, and to confront the forces of hatred and intolerance wherever they may arise. Section 11. Conclusion. Remembering the past, confronting the present. The Madagascar Plan, though never fully realized, stands as a chilling testament to the depths of human cruelty. By remembering the history of the Madagascar Plan, we honor the memory of those who perished in the Holocaust. The fight for justice and human dignity is an ongoing struggle. The lessons of the Madagascar Plan are as relevant today as they were decades ago. We must remain vigilant against all forms of discrimination and prejudice, and work tirelessly to create a world where such atrocities are never again possible.